Sean here. I haven't made a Cyrax video in forever. I was off for 6 days, and we had 2 4-day weekends sandwiched in, so it feels like an eternity since I've been back to work. I go back tomorrow. Cyrax has been crashing out. There's so much stuff going on. I've just stayed silent because I have no idea what's going on, and I don't want to interfere with anything. And of course, there are still people trying to touch the poop. What are you thinking, people? Anyway, you could sit Cyrax down. This would be an eye-opener for him. We've got a lot of eye-openers, but this one would definitely be an eye-opener. One, you have 2 scales. Your responsibilities and your feelings. But with Cyrax, his responsibilities tend to only be the things that he wants to do, not the things that he should be doing. So you could probably take that off the board. Now, when it comes to feelings, you have a 1 and you have a 10. Okay, my son has bowling practice. At Sunday at 5 p.m., I have to drive 50 miles to the place and 50 miles back. It's madness. But it's the only place that has any open bowling lanes for them. Do I hate it? Yes. But I'd put it at a 5. It's an annoyance, but I know it's necessary. And I know it's something it's okay if I feel annoyed about. But let's be real, if it was Cyrax, if it annoyed him, he wouldn't do it. I can't even imagine him accepting 1 ounce of responsibility for a child. I mean, even if we're talking about if he wasn't who he was. If he was a good version of Cyrax. Even then, I can't see him. I don't even want to go there. But like a 10 for me is doing something having to do something over. Something I spent hours on and having to do it over. I can't stand repeating things. That's probably an 8. Well, anyway, if you were to talk to Cyrax about feelings, what makes him happy, do you think he could give you an honest answer? He would probably get the scale backwards. Now 5 he'd be okay because that's right in the middle, but he would probably get so confused that he put the things that make him mad are probably the things that make him happy, if that makes any sense. Winning an argument with trolls, 10, happiness. Dealing with the trolls, 1, horrible, I hate it the most. With Cyrax, we're gonna start from hate to love. I think that'd be easier. So dealing with the trolls, 1, because that's the lowest. He can't handle it. 10, dealing with the trolls and feeling like he won. Holy crap, man. Think about that. From 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. Every step is dealing with the trolls. Every step has something to do with trolls. Not going offline, nothing like that. It would just be dealing with the trolls. Having a new girlfriend, a new fiance that he just met. I used to think he knew. I thought he really knew. And he was just playing us, And with Cyrax, he couldn't tell you 1 through 10. You would have to give suggestions. So you could bring up his family, Sally, and he would lie. Oh, 9, 10. Oh, sometimes she makes me mad, so 8. That would be his answer. You can quote me on that. Then Ed. Well, Ed, we get into it, so Ed's about a 5. Okay, maybe a 6. You guys can hear it too. I'm sure that's what you thought of when I mentioned those names. That is what you thought of. Now, in reality, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors with Ed and Sally, but I do know, I think Sally does love him somewhat. But I think she protects him because he's an excuse for her, a golden goose. She loves getting attention. And I think she enjoys that Cyrax is the one getting attacked, but she gets to share in the attention. What could you say? Playing video games? Just think for a minute. Think about what real happiness feels like. Think about what real deep, dark sadness feels like. Cyrax doesn't feel breakups like the rest of us. We know we have responsibilities, we have interaction, we have intimacy, we have all of these things that make relationships so complex. And a bad breakup can take us to the darkest pits of despair. With him, it's like a day and he's moved on already. And I think playing video games would be about a 9 because he doesn't know what happiness is. He doesn't know what a wonderful dinner date with a partner is, a vacation, a trip, a shared experience that you both connected on a level that he will never achieve because he has nothing in common with anyone. And looking back, his most successful relationship was with a woman who almost threw up when he kissed her. Unless you count Jake. I'm kidding. But you know what I mean? He doesn't know what happiness is when it comes to relationships. Think about your current relationship. I'm going to give you a second. Just picture your significant other, if you have any. Or picture your best friend. Or if you don't have a best friend, I have a best friend. I don't get to see him very much. But if you ask me about a best friend, I'd say Howard. I don't know who yours is. But you would be able to go through and say, oh my God, I remember this time we were out, we were so drunk and he was trying to climb this fence, got his shoe stuck and he fell over. That's just something I made up. Howard and I have known each other since we were 7. We were like intermingling. He was Henry Clay, I was Lafayette. We were crossing over. It was just this insanity of like celebrity status with the big group of people that knew each other from when they were growing up, and we just jump in and out of high school. There are so many memories, fights, women, and some devastating lows too. But everything in your head is so magnified. Everything seems like you are at the pinnacle, the peak of civilization, when in reality it was meaningless shit. But you had a good time doing it. Why did I even bring that up? Because everything Cyrax does is meaningless. So things that we do that seem meaningless to other people can mean everything to us. A simple hug from your parents, or you finally make up with someone you've been feuding with for so long. Those are things that make me happy. And we won't even get into the complexity of someone dying and you having that initial horrible reaction, horrible feeling, and then later, as time passed, you start having good memories. We won't get into that, but he will never experience that. I mean, his best friends, his little brother, they all died. Everybody he knows has died, and they're best friends, and he said hi to me once. But anyway, back to what we were saying about your best friend. Think about something that happened when you felt really happy, truly happy. Not the first date, that's too easy. A successful first date can feel like the greatest thing in the world. Well, that and the date that you guys seal the deal. But when it comes to Cyrax, he doesn't even understand the intricacies of that. And I didn't mean to go too deep into that, but your scale, if I asked you what made you happy, you have all of those things that seem meaningless to other people but meant the world to you. And then you have things that mean something that made you happy. And then you had those things that were the greatest moments in your life. Whether it be your child is born, or you won a tournament, or it highlighted you in some way that made you feel so special and so important. He doesn't have any of that. As I said before, 1, dealing with the trolls. 10, dealing with the trolls and feeling like I've won. How could you even get through that if you were to be his therapist and you were to sit down and ask him, what is it that makes you mad? Trolls. What is it that makes you happy? Girlfriends. But they end up being trolls, Chance. I don't mean to harp on that, but it's so important. But I would say this to him. What about taking out the garbage, Chance? Oh, it pisses me off. That's like an 8. I hate that. Chance, what about having to take a shower, brush your teeth, Now he might say, well, I don't mind that, but it doesn't make me, it makes me, that doesn't bother me that much. If you were to talk about responsibilities, you might get an answer if you suggested some very basic things, but there's not a lot you could give to him. Washing the dishes, he can't, if they had an animal, he can't take care of it, and we know why. So all you would have is emotion. You would have nothing but emotion, no responsibility, no accountability, just someone operating off raw emotion. Doesn't have a clue which direction to walk. So again, trying to find out what makes him... I think with Cyrax, this is my opinion, I think you'd have to sit him down and go over some old photos, some old stories that you gathered from something, because he probably doesn't even remember those. Things that... Here's another thing about him that I think you'd have trouble with. He wouldn't remember things that he did for other people, or things that happened to other people that he was involved in. He wouldn't remember any of that. Well, what is it that you do that makes other people happy, Chance? Well, I make videos and everything. He would forget helping an old lady across the street. At least Lauren would say, help my mom, giving water to the homeless, or the children's hospital. I can't even remember. You know what? Fuck Lauren. But if you think about it, and you start to figure out that he's never really had a friend. I don't like to think about Jake, because that whole insinuation, it does make me physically ill. And if he did get a real girlfriend, he wouldn't get offline. He wouldn't devote his time to her. I know exactly what this douchebag would do. He would force her to get online so he could just have somebody to, sit next to him, amplify him. Chance, I don't want to be online. I want to go do something. Well, I got all these fans. I got cover shows, gaming videos. And if you're a female and you're listening to this, I guarantee you that would last about a day for you. Thinking maybe it's just the phase, maybe he's just having a rough day, but I just told him I do not want to be online. I don't want to be on his video, and he's trying to force me to, and he promised me he'd take me out to dinner. That would be his dates. Let's get online together. Let's go on a date. We'll go on an online date. We'll get online and we'll eat some food, and everybody can watch us eat food. What a freaking retard. I rarely use that word. I really don't use it, except when it comes to Cyrax and Baby Lauren. I know I got a little off topic, but all of this is like a frame of reference for when you're talking to him about happiness and sadness. When he doesn't get... Let's just break it down even simpler. I don't get what I want, and I get what I want. That's probably it for him. I get what I want, and I don't get what I want. So when you're asking him questions, he would be thinking, now I'm reasoning it out after I made that first part, he would be thinking, am I getting it? Did I get anything out of that? I like getting presents. That's like a 10 for him, right? Toys, I like toys. And like the things that piss him off the most, it'll be like William Glory Hole, Music Biz Marty, John, and everybody else who's wrecked him. At this point, I am certain that someone could contact him. I wouldn't do it again. I don't touch the poop. But I'm certain somebody could contact him and go, hey man, I'm just giving you a heads up right off the bat. I'm a troll. But what's up, man? And he would just talk. And they would continue their correspondence. And when he found out they were a troll, he would say, what? You again, another troll? But he's just so stupid, man. But anyway, after you do that, after you get through all of that, I know I rambled, you get Sally in the room. And you ask her what she thinks makes Cyrax happy, 10 being the happiest, 1 being the saddest, and what makes Cyrax sad. This is the only way you get the truth. The only way. Someone who's an observer would have to tell you what makes him happy and what makes him sad. You can even ask your significant other, when am I the happiest? When do I appear the saddest? And it may help you out. They'll say, you know, when you got to deal with that one person, you always come home and you just miserable. And then you have to work out a way where maybe you can minimize that. But Sally would probably say he's happiest when he's getting presents, when he has real friends, which he's never had. And when he's saddest is when he doesn't get presents, and when he and Ed argue, and those trolls on the internet. That's the only way you get the truth. But if you really wanted the truth, you get Ed. Someone who doesn't like Chance very much. Someone who would probably give you an honest answer. Now, yeah, they're going to exaggerate a little. What makes him happy? Well, when he doesn't have to do anything. When he's been asked to do chores and he doesn't do them. Well, what makes him mad? When he has to do chores. Now that I've said all that, what a pathetic freaking life, man. What a sad, sad existence. Even if you're an isolationist, even if you're somebody who you have people you talk to, but you're mostly a homebody, there's nothing wrong with that. But Chance doesn't have any kind of connection whatsoever, not even with his own family. So the scale wouldn't work for Cyrax. It would work for maybe Sally and Ed, and you'd kind of have to take the average between the two and just figure out what's important and what isn't. Then you'd have to talk to Chance, and you'd have to give him the results and say, look, your life is in turmoil. You're hating life right now. You're going nowhere, kid. And I say kid because he looks like, again, a 40-year-old toddler. He wouldn't listen. He's the jerkwad who would give you all of the answers. And you've recorded the session, and you wrote down exactly what they say. He's the jerkwad who would say to you, well, I didn't say that. That's not what I meant. No, you weren't listening. And then when you tried to play it back, he'd just talk over it because he doesn't want to hear it. No, stop it. No, stop that right now. I'm going to tell you something. That finger you see on the screen, this is the version of Cyrax. I'm going to tell you something. You tricked me. I didn't mean to say that. So even when he's the one giving the information and the answers, he wouldn't accept it. He would argue with himself. Scales wouldn't work. I just decided that you couldn't do that with him. He doesn't have a variety of activities of people he interacts with. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have any commute. He has nothing to reference anything on except for when he can get online and when he's not able to get online, and if he's being trolled. I mean, seriously. I can't believe a human being like this exists. I really can't. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Hey, ain't gonna make sense to me, dude.